This is the Carson City Advisory Board to Manage Wildlife, September 23rd, 2024. Brianna, would you call roll, please?
Chair Fleming, Vice Chair Thompson, Member Beamer,
Here.
Member Stewart,
Here.
Member Wilson. Here. A quorum is present.
Thank you. And let's see, Member Wilson, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? All will stand and remove your hats.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and
to the republic
to which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Public is invited at this time to comment on and discuss any topic that's relevant to or within the authority of the public body. I do want to read a notice to the public. Members of the public who wish to view this meeting may watch the live stream of the Advisory Board to Manage Wildlife meeting at www.carson.org/Granius, and by clicking on the in progress next to the meeting date, or by tuning into cable channel 191. Live stream of the meeting is, I apologize everybody, I didn't bring my glasses today, so I really apologize about that. Thank you. That's probably going to help me out a lot. Oh no, it doesn't. Sorry. You got quite a prescription there. So I'll try and get through this, so bear with me. Let's see here. Carson City does not give any assurance or guarantee that the live stream or cable channel access will be reliable, although all reasonable efforts will be made to provide the live stream. The public may provide comment in advance of any meeting by written submission to the following email address. You can send it to Ms. Brianna Munoz, bmunoz@carson.org, for inclusion or reference in the minutes of the meeting. Your public comment must include your full name and be submitted via email by not later than 3 p.m. the day of the meeting. Public comment during a meeting is limited to 3 minutes for each speaker. So with that, do we have any public comment? Mr. Bailey, if you could state your name for the record, please.
Kevin C.K. Bailey, Carson City. Thank you very much for allowing me this time to present. And what I wished to bring up was something that's near and dear to our heart, which is Marlette Lake. As you know, it is being drawn down right now. So its dam can be refurbished. There was a lot of fish that were moved from Marlette and placed into Hobart. Thank you. Hobart. reservoir. So that ought to be quite a bit of fun, but it's going to be about a 4 or 5 year deal. So I just wanted to let you know that we know and that we're happy to see it being fixed up and that it's such a beautiful lake that it's quite the jewel of this area and Carson City, Tahoe. So I just wanted to bring that up and thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, CK. Always a pleasure. Any other further public comment? Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Good evening, Robin Orloff here. Nice to be here to speak with you. I want to thank Mr. Beamer for your presentation to the Board of Supervisor meeting on Thursday. It was interesting, educational, and I'm glad you're here to help our citizenry live with the wild animals that are all around us. And I would like to address, I think, 8D. You'll be talking about the killing contests, I believe. And I just wanted to, for the record, let it be known that I'm against the killing contests. And I believe it will be brought up in Vegas on Thursday night at a 6 p.m. meeting. You will be discussing it there too. And I've got to say, I don't hunt, but I've lived with hunters, and I've gone out with them and in their camo and their ash on their face, and they go out and they watch the wildlife in their habitat, and it's fascinating. And the fellow that I went with really values and appreciates the wildlife, and I think that kind of hunting, I totally understand. The killing contests I have a little bit of difficulty with, so I wanted to let you know that. Also, I wanted to talk about public comment, and Carson City is very liberal. They allow us to submit public comment. If we get it in by 3 o'clock the day before, it will be admitted to the agenda for you all to read. The commission, the advisory to the commission, the Nevada advisory to the commission, Chairman Caviglia's group that you report to. Anyway, we send in public comment, but it's not admitted to the agenda or the minutes unless we specifically ask for it. And just so you know, when the petition that Rebecca Goff brought up at the meeting in March, there were 206 pages of public comment that came in, most of which was against the killing contest, and none of that was public. None of that's on the agenda. None of it was in the minutes, except when somebody said they wanted it for the record. The coalition letter, the same thing. There were 148 comments that came into the commission. None of them were on the agenda or the minutes, except maybe 5 that we asked specifically. So that's not available for the public, and out of those 148, only 8 were pro the coalition. So I don't know if that's something that you might have any influence over, but I think the public in Nevada, we appreciate and would like the transparency of knowing what the constituency is thinking. So I thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Please state your name for the record. If you can go ahead and hit your button there, it'll turn green. There you
Okay.
go.
Anna Maria Balstrud, Carson City. I'm just discussing 8D2, the killing contest. I have a letter, I'll just read that. Dear committee, I read this letter I've written as a resident of Nevada and consequently a co-owner of our public lands on which many species of animals live. As I'm sure you are aware, the state we all call home, Nevada, has an astonishingly 43 million acres of public lands. In fact, a staggering 80% of Nevada is comprised of public lands. But while Nevada can boast its vast land size, which ranks 7th in the country, we unfortunately have one of the highest unemployment rates of all 50 states, 5.1% according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics for April 2024. Our economy ranks 32 in the nation, but is growing. However, if we wish to remain on this positive economic trajectory, we need to ensure that the state can continue to grow by providing good-paying jobs for the next generation. The tourism industry in Nevada is one of the largest revenue generators in the state. 43% of our total GDP can be attributed directly to tourism. People from all over the world come to Las Vegas and Reno for gaming and entertainment. Others flock year-round to our state parks and lakes to ski, hike, boat, and rejuvenate. These millions of visitors each year travel to Nevada to spend their disposable income in our state, thereby enriching the lives of Nevadans in the process. But an ominous cloud of media and global press releases have recently highlighted a much darker side of our state that is occurring on our public lands. Coyote killing contests, which is contrary both to sound science and public opinion, are taking place in our backyards. And all this killing of wild species is happening on our public lands, usually funded by taxpayer money. This begs the question, are we living in a state where the will of the people, their economic well-being, and their future economic certainty are being prioritized over a select few who benefit handsomely from taxpayer contracts, or others who enjoy state-sanctioned killing contests of animals purely for pleasure? I would argue that Nevada needs to proceed very carefully and mindfully with regards to prevailing public opinion. News travels very fast nowadays, and our economy, jobs, and improving economic conditions rely heavily on how others perceive our state. Our economic well-being and reputation may very well be seriously and irreparably damaged by a few people. It is up to our state elected officials to correct this destructive trajectory before it's too late. As a tax-paying citizen, we have a right to be proud of our state instead of ashamed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other further public comment? Mr. French, good to see you. Thank you.
Wow, isn't it nice to hear other voices besides mine? And all the three that commented helped me understand the Merlet situation. And I hadn't been diligent, and I hadn't read over the 8B. I had heard of it at the legislature, and it just astounded me and horrified me and such. But I didn't do my due diligence on that particular item. I've been to a lot of different meetings lately and such. My focus today would have been to bring up the fact that 2 more beavers had been put into the field to do correctional work for the California River, and that the gentleman that came up with they've added 2 more beavers to that list of beavers that were transported out of an area where they were overabundant into an area they were needed to help with their watershed situation. So the next thing was that I was going to bring up the fact that microplastics, as we had discussed, hadn't been able to run by the Board of Supervisors because of circumstances, and I still would like to have that on there. As to this, having raised money, legislative meeting of recreational partying and killing of animals, the coyote situation was brought up, and it was a fundraiser for some schools, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, what a horrifying situation if I'd gone out with my dad and he just started shooting things, and how devastating that would be for me as a child to see that. But what are we raising? Are we raising children to appreciate the wildlife around us, or just to utilize it as a recreational, have a whoopee time and raise some money for your sports? I would rather see them sell cakes or do run around the play field and earn money that way. So thank you all for your comments today, because they really helped get me back on track to some of the things that I've gotten thrown off because of the turf issues. So, and I appreciate that you will bring this up, and those subjects are really important. Thank you very much.
Any further public comment? If you haven't had a chance to sign in as the public, we encourage you to do so that we can have your name and everything for the record, and then we will pass that on to the commission. I do want to, before I close public comment out, I do want to hope you understand that the commission is a state body. This is a county or city body, if you will, right? We make recommendations to the commission. Whether they take those recommendations is up to them. And I think I have voiced more than a number of times in these meetings of my disdain on the fact that the commission sometimes completely disregards our recommendations from Carson City. I have voiced that in those commission meetings as well, and I will continue to do so. And I know I don't want to speak for my fellow board members, but it doesn't make us feel, we're not too happy when that happens. And I was really taken back at the beginning of the year when the chairman of the commission made a point to send a letter to Mayor Bagwell, pretty much demanding that we have somebody present at each one of the commission meetings, which I'm not object to. But my rebuttal back to him was a letter saying, well, that's fine. Then why don't you take into heed what the counsel that we give you, right? We bring to you guys the public comment that's made in our meetings, and then we also bring to you our recommendations. Things like coyote killing contests, believe it or not, there are some, I'm not one that participates in those. I will say that for the record. Have I in the past? I have not participated in the ones that I think get the most exposure, right? We did do something out here in Carson Valley for John Esquaga at one time because he was losing over 30% of his lambs to coyotes. And unfortunately, we tried all their means like trapping and those kind of things to try and alleviate that. And so he actually had myself and a couple other members come out to his ranch, and he did reward us, if you want to call it that, by allowing us to, he bought us dinner, a couple of us dinner, and for eradicating some of the coyotes that were really causing problems to his flock, if you will. And that being said, I'm not one to engage in coyote contests that we have seen across the state for fundraising efforts or for efforts that are just for fun. I also want to point out that in some regions, the coyote problem is so horrendous that other ecosystems in that region are suffering because of it, and all the way to wild horses, right? And so we saw two brand new foals actually get taken down by a pack of coyotes up in the Elko County region. And we're in a region that there's not a lot of wild horses, actually. And so that was kind of a travesty. I mean, literally 50 or more coyotes. I mean, I estimated at about 50. It was probably more than that. Took and segregated two foals, and the mom just couldn't keep up with them. And so in situations like that, I feel, and this is just me, Rob Beamer speaking, I feel that there's got to be some sort of effort, I think, put in place to try and eradicate and bring those back to a balanced level to sustain other ecosystems. And so holding coyote killing contests, I don't think is the ultimate answer for that, right? So that being said, I did want to kind of express my position on that. I want to go on with the rest of the agenda. I appreciate everybody's public comment. I will say that the contest committee report that is part of 8D is what I think you all are referring to. When I read through that wasn't my understanding of what they were going to be discussing. I'll bring it up to my other board members, but my understanding of that that is a committee that we utilize to look at like contests for like tags and that sort of thing, and awarding tags. I could be wrong, but I didn't see anything on the commission agenda that spoke to that. So if I'm off base in saying that, I apologize. I didn't pick that up in the commission agenda. So I wasn't prepared to take 8D out for public comment. If it, unless I'm incorrect in thinking that's what this agenda item entails. So, so I would entertain that we go forward with the agenda. Agenda item, seeing no more public comment, agenda item number 5 is a possible action item to approve our minutes for our August 9th, 2024 meeting. Did everybody get a chance to review those? I would entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the August 9th meeting minutes.
And I'll second.
Did you get that, Brianna? Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to agenda item number 6, an informational item, update from the chair or board members for the August 16th and 17th, 2024 meeting. Did you attend that?
I watched it online,
Oh, so they did have it online.
kind of.
Okay.
It was held in Elko, and they definitely had some technical difficulties.
Okay. So before you get started, I want to just point out to the public that, there are certain board meetings where I don't feel it's a best use of the county's. This is my opinion. I don't feel like it's the best use of the county's resources if we're just to go to a meeting, right? Like, so this one in Elko, there wasn't a lot of things that I felt that the board wanted or desired to take a position on. And so I think it was decided that we would not attend in person, rather try to attend via virtual means. I did voice my disdain to the commission that they have not been real diligent about putting a virtual link up so that county advisory board members and the public, right, could potentially attend meetings virtually. And so whether that fell on deaf ears or not, I'm not sure, but I did voice my disdain in that, said, hey, for some of us, that actually work for a living, that it would be better if we could, by chance, tune in via virtual means if possible. So with that, I'll turn the time over to Member Wilson to offer any comments on that.
So for the portions, the main portion that I was able to watch, and I always seem to have trouble logging on to their Zoom, but I can watch it on YouTube.
Okay.
When they post it on YouTube. And so the inconvenient thing is the commission doesn't know that we're watching. They can see a count of the number of people that watch on YouTube, but we're not there doing the interactive one, so we can log on and say, Tim Wilson here for the Carson City Cab.
So I always just send an email to because I've been in that position too, where the Zoom link didn't work, especially the chat feature. And so I'll always send an email to the general email box because I know Caitlin and some of the others monitor that, and just say, hey, Carson City Cab is being represented by Tim Wilson or Rob Beamer or whatever. Anyway, for the future, just so you know that.
Okay. Yeah, because I feel bad because I also was somewhat shocked when we got the letter from the commission, CC'd on that, saying they were disappointed in county participation in their meetings. And I haven't missed a meeting. I've watched every single one, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, I feel like sometimes they due to their technical difficulties, especially when they go to the rural areas, sometimes it's I feel like we're not counted. So aside from that, the meeting itself, it was almost completely consumed with the day that they had available, with Mike Strimler appeal of his, I think Indow's proposed a suspension for Mike Strimler. He's a sub-guide.
Yep.
And the appeal hearing was held, and they had witnesses and testimony, and that consumed almost the whole day. It was an interesting case. Mike Strimler is in this case was guiding for mountain lions, and the regulation states that the hunter needs to participate with the guide. The guide can't just go out and run the dogs, tree a lion, and then go find a client and bring the client out there, which is what was alleged. And it seemed like a pretty strong case against Mr. Strimler, and ultimately they upheld his denied his appeal and upheld his suspension. In looking at some other states on how they treat that, I think he got off pretty light. Honestly, kind of a slap on the wrist for what he was doing. But that was the decision. They went forward and upheld that suspension. That was most of what I was able to watch online.
Okay. I would just add to that, few of the members on this board also serve on the Operation Game Thief board, which is kind of our secret witness program for the outdoors. I've served as the president and chairman of that board now for, I think, going on close to 20 years. And I was succeeded by Don Quilisi and Ron Perini, who were kind of the founding members of that program. And so one of the biggest things that I struggle with is when guides that are registered to guide in the state of Nevada, whether they be, a lot of them are out of state folks that come in here. I struggle so much with when they don't do things according to our rules and our regulations. And I have like a zero tolerance for that kind of stuff. And so, although the whole meeting was consumed with that, I think it was a great example of, how serious we take that. And I think that it was good for the public to see that as well. So, all right, carrying on, agenda item number 7. We'll close out agenda item number 6, and we'll go to agenda item number 7, where I'm prepared to give an update and activity report on the Carson City Urban Wildlife Committee. I appreciated this young lady's comments and your kind words, and appreciate the fact that I had the opportunity to report to the Board of Supervisors. I would just tell you that Mayor Lori Begwell was really the one that kind of drove that and made that happen. She's the one who's really been kind of pushing for us to bring more awareness to urban wildlife here in our city, and I appreciate that. There was a couple other board members that weren't too keen on it at first, but I think after my presentation, every one of them reached out to me and said, man, that was great information. And I think it's a great idea for you to do that annually. And so I hope that continues to go on. We will be pushing for a week or a month dedicated to urban wildlife education and awareness here in Carson City. Like I said in the presentation, we have multiple members of the city that are willing to assist with that effort, especially like Dave Ruff from Greenhouse Garden Center and the owners of Full Circle Compost and other members of the community as well that have voiced a desire to assist with that. So I'm excited about that. I think it was well received. I did receive one negative comment about it, and I addressed that with the person, unfortunately. But it is what it is. You know, the press doesn't always quote you appropriately, and so I was a little bit disappointed in Carson now that they kind of misled a quote that I said, and I was able to talk to the person. Hopefully they don't hate me too bad. So anyway, I'll continue on with reporting on urban wildlife on behalf of the commission and in the future. So pretty excited about that. Let's carry on to agenda item number 8. In agenda item number 8, we have these are all informational items or report items. We have multiple items. I would like to just consider 8D again to bring it out to public comment. If anybody from the public, I'll call that out. So is there any others that you guys want to call out besides 8D? I just feel like it's appropriate, since we have members of the public that spoke on it, that we give them another opportunity to, bring up anything that I'm missing or that we're not aware of in that item.
8D, there was a nice presentation included in. I thought we could maybe just discuss. I don't really have a
8D as in dog
8D is in dog.
or 8E, the draw process.
8E. Sorry.
Yeah.
I have the same problem. I got to get
Yeah.
far enough away.
So let's call out 8D and E. Any others, Member Stewart? I don't have any. Okay. So let's start with 8D real quick. D is in dog, which is the contest committee report. And just wanted to allow any other opportunity for the public to make comment. Come up, please.
It's Anna Maria Balstrid from Carson City. There was a comment about so many coyotes, the problem of too many coyotes. I just wish to read here. Coyotes are often eaten by larger carnivores like bears, cougars, gray wolves, American alligators, which we don't have, grizzly and American black bears, golden eagles, and Canadian lynx. So when we're killing a lot of these larger apex predators, that is what is happening to the coyotes. They get out of control. So if they take foals, and I'm a horse lover, that is part of the natural environment. So if we're killing the bears and the wolves and all these other animals that prey on coyotes, we are going to have that result of too many coyotes. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other further public comment?
Robin Orloff again. And I did go to Agenda 8D, I guess, on the carson.org, and I couldn't find anything that described what was going to be discussed. So I just assumed it was the killing contest.
Yeah,
And I appreciate your comment, Mr. Beamer, about Esquaga and why you were there. And I think that's a whole different feel than going after whatever the bobcats and the foxes and the other animals and the coyotes when it's just for fun and for the ugliest, the biggest, the smallest, whatever. So I understand the difference, and I appreciate you speaking up to that. And I also appreciate this committee, because with the coalition, you voted no action, you listened to us, and I believe I've heard you say, differentiate between killing contests for fun and what your feelings were. And Douglas County was the same way. They weren't sure. They wanted Nevada to be known for these huge contests. So I appreciate you, and I imagine that you're probably in the minority when you go to these meetings with
I don't
the
think
other.
so.
No,
I
really?
don't think so. I think that the
Excellent.
majority of the cabs feel that
Excellent.
way. That's at least what I've
Okay.
heard, so.
That's good to hear. And I also thank you. I thank you very much for that.
All right, thank you. All right, seeing no more public comment, we'll go on to 8E as in Edward, which is on the draw process. This was, if you haven't had a chance to take a look at the presentation that's part of the media materials, I found it absolutely awesome, man. Like, I didn't feel right printing out all those awesome color photos and stuff in the presentation using my state computer, so I didn't do that, but I kept it electronically, and I found it pretty remarkable, all of the stats that the department reported on with regard to our tag draw, and more so it really established to me the management plan that or I should say wildlife management that issuing tags and allowing members of the community or hunters, or some people don't even classify themselves as hunters. They look at it as more a way for them to probably harvest the most organic protein that you could probably get on the planet. And so it was nice to see a lot of brand new folks putting in for tags. We had an all-time high for people applying for tags this year, and I was impressed to see how many the increase in women applying for tags as well. So with that, I'll open it up to my fellow board members and allow you to comment on anything as well.
So I was going to point out the same thing, mainly is they did a really nice presentation,
I think it's
laying
fabulous.
everything out. Just looking at, the age class of different hunters and increasing pretty much in almost every age class, which is, I find pretty impressive. The new hunters that are first-time applicants, I would call them. So I'd refer to them as new hunters. It's hard to say if they're avid hunters in other ways, but just first time applying for a big game tag. But certainly the population and participating in the application draw process has increased quite a bit. I think I would still be concerned about with so many applicants having so little opportunity but there's not a lot we can do about that.
There isn't anything we can do about that. The management plan is what it is, and
Right.
so yeah, would we all like to see more opportunity if it's within the management plan, right? I think that would be a great opportunity, but as you know, we only allow so many animals to be harvested. That's to support the management plan, right, for each species. So, yeah.
Which I do support our system. I think I think it's a very wise system, especially
Very conservative, right?
Very conservative, and I'm okay with that. I think if hopefully if we stay on track with a couple of at the tag meeting of the Wildlife Commission, which was in the spring, that I was able to attend up in Reno. It sounds like we've had really good fawn recruitment 2 years in a row.
That's been fantastic.
So hopefully that's going to change, and by next year and the following years, there will be more opportunity for these additional applicants that would really like to get a tag.
Yeah. Anything else, Member Stewart? So I would just draw your guys' attention to page 67 of the meeting material. It's the junior mule deer applications bar graph. I was very disappointed to see this, and this, as you can see, is the result of the commission making the decision to do away with the opportunity for youth to harvest does as part of their tag. It actually reduced the number of tags significantly, as you can see, because of that action, which they didn't. We tried to tell them that was going to happen, but they didn't listen. So that was a little bit disappointing. And the next page actually breaks that down based on successful juniors and unsuccessful juniors. And that was a little bit, I struggled with that one a little bit. I do want to report that what Mr. Wilson claimed about fawn recruitment, I'm happy to report, like right from the field, we have spent, the last 6 months out scouting, put in over 2,500 miles in northeastern Nevada alone. And I can tell you, I have never taken so many pictures and so much video ever in my life than I did the last 6 months. We were very fortunate that my best friend, childhood friend, was one of the two individuals that drew one of the 2 moose tags of the very first ever moose hunt. And we were super successful. We harvested a beautiful animal, and which was about 1,100 pounds. And we ended up with 525 pounds of cut and wrapped meat, which we have been participating in quite a bit the last couple of weeks. And so, but the cool thing is all of the babies, the fawns, fawn deer, fawn antelope, calves of both elk and moose. Like, it was crazy the amount of moose that we saw. We saw just as many cows as we did bulls, and for every one of those cows, some of them had 2 and 3 calves that were with them as well. So it was just the coolest thing ever. It's what I geek out over, man, when I go outside, and I almost enjoy seeing that more than I do the harvest. Well, I probably won't say that, but it was fantastic. And so this presentation, I think, was great. I hope that I'm going to encourage the commission to do more of these kind of things, because I think the infographics speak rows to the actual management plan, right? Which is what we're trying to accomplish by allowing regulated hunting, right? And so, and advocating regulated hunting. It's proven that it's one of the best forms of wildlife management known to man, and we've proven that time and time and time again. So, any other further comments on 8E as an Ernie? Okay. Okay. Does the public want to comment on that? Okay, come on up, Mr. Bailey.
C.K. Bailey, once again. Thank you for this opportunity in the midst of the, taking this out of the agenda, because it is so important what you just said, Commissioner Wilson and Commissioner Beamer. To see moose in Nevada is outrageously fantastic. It's outstanding to see them moving back into to Nevada. On another note, not having kids learn their way around firearms and to have that time with their families going out hunting is a travesty, in my opinion. These kids that are going out with their families are not the ones that are shooting up the schools. They're not killing each other. Okay, these kids have great respect, and they have to develop that respect for firearms because they're going to be around firearms all their lives. I don't care whether they're in cities or in urban settings. They need to learn, just like they need to learn how to swim, even though they might be out in a desert. They need to learn these talents, these important things. And hunting happens to be one of them. I'm not a huge big game hunter. I'm an angler. And a lot of it's catch and release. It's kind of nice. But I like the opportunity to be able to hunt if I so choose. And I don't think it's degrading. It is actually helping the species that are going out there. Otherwise, they can just die. They can just depreciate. What is it? Depredation? They can just go away on their very own. So the monies that go into, the education that goes into, is all so worth it for the hunter and for the non-hunter alike.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey.
Denny French, Carson City, you all have heard my no trophy shooting, no for joy, no for fun, hunting. The fun is being out with your friends. The fun is seeing nature and such like that. That's sort of what I get. I do understand that a good friend of mine was a bow hunter. Her and her husband hunt for trophies. When I did the Bambi, you can't do that, or without my mentioning how I feel about it. She didn't want to talk to me for ages. She come around and gave me a call out of the blue. And one of the things that was brought up was that she was no longer, not only not a trophy hunter, but that she wasn't into hunting at all, that if she were, it would be for a target. She was an excellent shot with the bow. And so that was nice. The conversation didn't end up where I'd like it to have, but the main thing is that you know my position on it. So listening to the tagging and those things, but I had also heard you talk about why those things were necessary in certain areas, or you felt they were, and the context behind that. So I hung in there. I just didn't take the application thing quite like the others have today. But those things are important to me. That coyote partying and going out and killing them for fun or for whatever earnings that they get from the tags or the group that's involved in what they pay. But my thing is, I'm concerned, and this probably should have said till the last comment, was I am concerned about the fact that so many people wrote against that particular item of coyote hunting, and they weren't acknowledged. I feel that's the same situation. I think cities Board of Supervisors, they may have comments, but they will basically not give you the number of people against a point that they're trying to make. And I think if we do that, we're making a mistake. Pro or con, we've got to put those public comments out there. And if they're not getting out through your group or to the people that are reading about your activities or your meetings, that's a shame. And so I'd like to promote that now while I was thinking about it. But knowing my position on this and having heard some of the comments that you've made about how come you come to those counts and how you distribute it and how you consider what should be tagged, how many tags and which animals are going to be involved, you put a great deal of thought and effort into this. So I do appreciate your thought and effort. I'd like to expand it out of necessarily equating killing something as something other than for eating and nourishment, to remember that the DNA from those beautiful animals doesn't get passed on if they're not around. And those type of things, and the historical findings of scientists are suggesting that we keep a lot in our DNA. Even bees do. They keep how to transfer from one area to another, how to migrate. those things aren't just all out of the wind. They are inherited. And if we're not cautious and careful about how we disturb those interim things, then we're going to lose their ability to teach each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. French. All right, carrying on, seeing no more public comment, we will close out our information item on agenda item number 8 and go to our consent agenda. The consent agenda includes item number 9C, which is the fishing seasons and regulations for January 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2025. I would open it up to the board to see if anybody wanted to call any of those items out. Any desire? Okay. I probably should have asked Mr. Bailey, did you want to speak on anything with the last agenda item? I wasn't prepared to call it out because nothing has changed. Everything is staying the same. They just, yeah, so, let me call it out so we can discuss it, okay? So I'll call out 9C and we'll start with that, okay? But before I do that, I would entertain a motion to support 9A and B.
I'll make a motion to support 9A and 9B.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 9C, so just so we can have a discussion on that, that is, the only thing they clarified was daily limit and possession limit, which they actually restated that. It's not really, they haven't changed like regulation at all. They just restated daily limit and possession limit because they did make a change to, a clarification to regulation just across the board when it came to daily and possession limits, both on the hunting side and on the fishing side. And now that we are actually just reminding the public that those are clearly defined in regulations. So the daily limit is, go ahead, if you want.
C.K. Bailey once again.
So the daily limit is defined as and I'll just read it right from, if any of you guys have it, do you have it pulled up? Let me pull it up real quick.
Sorry about that.
Nope, it's okay. So it states that There we go. A daily limit means the maximum number of game fish that may be lawfully taken and reduced to possession by a person in one day. The possession limit is 2 times the daily limit for the water in which the fish were caught. A daily/possession limit include fish caught in Nevada which have been processed or preserved and are stored at any location. Fish that are caught and immediately released back into the water alive are not considered to be reduced to possession or part of any limit. A person shall not reduce game fish to possession if he already has a number of that fish in possession which equals or exceeds the possession limit of the water being fished. General limits are listed by region. Exceptions to general limits are included as, and I quote, special regulations, end quote, and are listed by individual water.
Okay. So, to my understanding, it's basically the limit is it is per water, and I think it's like, I think the limit is 3. Let's say, let's just take Bailey Pond for an example. I think the limit is 3, possession is
6.
6. 3/6.
Yeah.
So nothing really has changed.
Nothing's changed.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Seeing no more public comment, we'll go ahead and go on to the next agenda item. Before we do that, I just wanted to point out, I was mistaken in 9B. I did want to just, for the commission or for the board's benefit, before we close out of this, I did want to, hopefully you all got a chance to take a look at that. It looks like the commission is trying to create a kind of an electronic process so we can track what our recommendations are, which I think is fantabulous. If that's a word, it's not, but and so I'm glad to see that. I was 100% in support of that. So, and we took an action item of support on that as well. So, going on to agenda item number 10. This is an informational item for the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commission's meeting attendance. The next meeting will be this weekend, September 28th and 29th in Las Vegas. I forget, Brianna, did we recall, was there somebody that we assigned to that from the last meeting? Can you look?
Yeah, it was Chair Fleming.
Okay, Chair Fleming. So given the fact that Chair Fleming's not here, I will just automatically appoint him, that he's the one who's been doing that. That's what you get for not showing up to the meeting. And so I will make a note to him to send him a text message and remind him of that. The November 8th and 9th meeting in Reno, I will likely be able to attend that unless anybody else wants to attend as well. We can all go to it, and I think it's a great opportunity if everybody makes it a point to try and do that.
I should be able to be there also for that meeting.
Perfect. Yeah, with pre-session meetings from our upcoming legislative session, I sometimes struggle with if I have to attend one of those meetings. That takes precedence over me attending these meetings. So it's always great to have other people that can do that. So okay, we'll close that agenda item up and go to agenda item number 11. Informational item, member reports, comments, or future agenda items. Any from any of the board? Okay, seeing none, we'll close that up and go to our final public comment period. Public is invited at this time to comment on and discuss any matter that is relevant to or within the authority of the Carson City Advisory Board to manage wildlife, including any matter that is not specifically included on this agenda as an action item. No action may be taken on a matter raised under this item of the agenda. Any public comment?
Denny French, Carson City, thank you. Question, when was that November meeting in Reno?
That would be November the 8th and 9th.
It's September in Reno, in Las Vegas. Thank you. I would like, and I do feel it should be in your purview, is the microplastics. They go into your water supply, they go into your ground, they go into your air. It's a big topic. I've actually heard several programs bringing it up on television and radio just recently. Microplastics are in the news all over the place. We're looking at adding tons of microplastic through our fiber that relate to artificial turf. And you and I have talked about that, Chair. It goes down the line. And when it was described to me originally, and that was years ago, is that the little things eat that microplastic to the point that they can't eat anymore. They can't digest it. And then they die. And if, in fact, before they die, then they are eaten by another littler but bigger critter, it moves right up the chain line. And it goes into animals. We have it in our brains already. Physically, in the mesh of our screens between our brains and our body is supposed to be very special, and it only allows a few things in. It sort of segregates our body a little bit. But the deal is that it's going right through our food chain. And to add that artificial turf is affecting your wildlife and the prospects for that wildlife to be healthy and carry on. And if, like Anna Marie had mentioned, we don't keep those things, this balance for our economy is big because wildlife is a big part of our pull. And if we're not going to keep our wildlife healthy and our environments healthy, if we're not thinking of them, then we're really not thinking about ourselves or our survival as a city. Between the wild horses and the coyote situations and now everything. Everything is literally going to be hooked into this microplastic, and to have you involved would be helpful to remind people that it goes in your water, it goes to your fish, it goes from there up the chain, and it really should really be a big factor for you all to consider. I appreciate that very much, and I do appreciate your efforts while we have diversive and differentials on our hunting and our considerations in that. I'd rather hunt with a camera and with my heart than go out with a rifle, and I was quite good at it. Fired expert while I was in the service. I can hit what I aim at. I just don't aim at wildlife, and I do understand subsidy. I do understand that neighbors had hunted for their food. They would get a good-sized critter, and they would have it settled up, and they would have it for a great part of their meals and such. But we didn't talk about hunting very much at all. And then my friend Donna, we didn't talk about it after I brought up the Bambi issue, and for a while she didn't talk to me at all. But those differences are important for us as a community to remember that we do have differences. We can work together still. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. French. Any further public comment?
Robin Orloff, last comments. You guys can all go home. And I wanted to thank you again. I mean, you're all volunteers. I know you're all volunteers, and most of you probably have full-time jobs. Some of you might be retired. So I really appreciate the fact that many or several of you applied for reappointment. So thank you very much for that. And there is a public comment in today's agenda from myself and from Denny towards you, thanking you for your service. So, and just relative to our public comments, just, you probably already know, I attend a lot of the Nevada state meetings, and the Sagebrush Ecosystem and the Nevada OHV Commission both very graciously include public comment in the agenda. It's on the agenda for everyone to read. And the state interim, the public lands, and the natural resources, they also include anyone's public comment goes into the agenda. Even after the meetings, they'll take them. If they have time and staff, as time and staff allows, they will post them so you can read them. And so it's a great transparency for you all in the public body to know what we are thinking, and for us out in the public to know what each other is thinking. So again, I will probably speak up at the meeting, the commission meeting. I don't understand why the Nevada Commission to Wildlife will not post our public comments in the agenda or the minutes unless we absolutely include them, please. So thank you for listening.
Yeah, you bet.
Have a good evening.
So Brianna, how do we work that? Like when we receive public comment, it seems to always be sent to us. But do we include that in the meeting materials?
Yeah, we do. The city does, but what she's referring to is the commission. So they
Oh,
don't.
no. But like for Carson City, we include it in our meeting materials. I
Yeah,
thought
so
we had.
we'll put it in the agenda and the minutes.
Okay.
May I just add, the city is incredible. Every single department in the city accepts public comment. We submit it by 3 o'clock the day before.
Yeah.
It's included, and if we bring it to the meeting, it's included. And I understand that it's sent to you all, I'm assuming by email?
is.
Great.
Yep.
So,
is.
perfect. Yeah, the city's very lenient,
Yeah.
very permissive. Apparently, I don't know if I can answer that. I think it's largely up to the discretion. I don't think it's an open meeting law that it has to be
Well,
included.
there is, I will tell you, there is in open meeting law, it gives the discretion of the public body to whether they want to include it or not. They can include it, they do include it with the minutes usually. So usually, like I don't want to say that about the commission. I haven't really looked at them because I don't have governance over their program, but for most state agencies that I'm included with, like we always include public comment in my state agency.
is it verbatim or is it
No, it's in minutes, so it picks out the high points,
right, right.
which is
So,
all that's required in the
yeah,
open meeting law, so.
yeah, so pick up the highlights. And there is an open meeting, whatever the 241, that says that I think a city over 52,000, if the agency is within the city of 52,000, if and when the supporting documents are given to the public body, they're supposed to be on the agenda. But then there's a question, well, what's considered supporting document? So I'm pursuing that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, without any further public comment, we'll close that out. And I'll go to agenda item number 13, motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned at 6.